Perfect. So we talked about the drive, we talked about the hustle. They definitely know that you don't just wake up and you're just successful. You're running an accelerator and you're getting investment and all this stuff and you're helping out companies. That obviously doesn't happen. It takes a lot of hard work. And that hard work set you up. That hard work and those relationships set you up for that company you exited, right? Which is Mobile City.
Yeah.
So take us into like how Mobile City basically started, right? And like how you were running this company. I'm sure you had a lot of employees, right? Or did you not?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, having put in all the work into developing these genuine relationships with all the residents, you know, my brother told me, he's like, John, you got lucky with what I'm about to tell you guys, but like Thomas Jefferson said, you make your own luck, right? Yeah. So I was bound to strike the gold somewhere because I was in the good with so many people. And eventually, one of the residents offered me a business opportunity. This guy is a self-made millionaire. He ran a chain of dry cleaners. And he said, John, you seem like a smart guy. So what do you do with your time? I said, Facebook, try to get at girls, like, you know, the usual. And he taught me, he said, John, a man is made. What defines a man is what he does with his time. It's the one thing that you don't get any more back of. Money comes and goes, girls, friends, resources, whatever. Yeah. Time, you just don't get any more back of. Exactly. That's it. Once the moment is gone, the moment is gone. And so that's really the one resource that we have to learn how to capitalize. Our time is worth thousands of dollars an hour. Right. And so any moment that you're not doing the absolute best thing that you can be doing, you're wasting time and money. So he instilled that insight into me. You should tweet that. But he instilled that insight into me early, and I was like, oh, okay, I understand. So he gave me a little project to do, and so we began developing this report, and eventually he said, okay, cool, I'm gonna give you access to my dry cleaner. So he had the actual operating facility, and he said, I'll extend out to you wholesale rates, and you can charge the market value, and you make the difference. So this might cost me $7 to dry clean, or it might cost you $7 to dry clean as a consumer. He was charging me maybe $3, I was making $4. Said, okay, simple enough. So I went with my cheap Doorman suit and cheap business cards, and
So you didn't have an app?
No, what?
Wait, how'd you start coding without an app?
The app didn't come till a year and a half later, man. This whole notion that you have to have an app to start a business is wild. And so I was just going from doorman to doorman and saying, hey, my name's John Henry, like, I'm a doorman too. I know that you're the key to the building, and I would slip them $20 and say, find me a customer. And at first they're like, who is this young guy? But I kept coming around every day. And I'd get him a coffee. And what'd that cost me? $1. But what'd that do? Build a relationship. The same way that Hugo, the guy who got me started, built my relationship with him, I was doing that with the other doormen, evangelizing. And so then I started making money, and I didn't really hit the gold until, again, one of the other residents, he said, I told him I was gonna quit. He said, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna start a dry cleaner. He said, you're gonna start a what? I said, I'm gonna start a dry cleaner. Why? He said, John, we have yet to find a single dry cleaner in the film and TV industry where I've been for the past 25 years that can meet our crazy demands. We shoot at night, they shoot 3 a.m. They need their stuff done yesterday. They need it done perfectly. And I was like, I'll do it. He said, what time do you get off? By this time I had been promoted to the afternoon shift, so I got off now at 11. 11:05 he showed up and brought me onto the scene of what became my first movie account, which is The Wolf of Wall Street. Met Leonardo DiCaprio, met Scorsese, but more importantly, I met the wardrobe supervisor, who was the guy in charge of all the clothes. Asked me a ton of questions. I didn't know the answer to any of them, and I was stuttering, but I told him, look, man, at the end, I was like, look, I don't know, but I'm gonna work the hardest out of anyone you know, I assure you. And so months passed, and my boys were ragging on me, like, yo, where's Leonardo now? I didn't think that they were gonna call, and sure enough, the day after I got fired from work, from my job, Wolf of Wall Street called, said, hey, you still ready to do those clothes? I said, man, you bet your ass I am. So I did Wolf of Wall Street, and then he said, hey, look, you did a great job. Looks like you're the new guy in town.
How many people you had doing their clothes?
What? It was just me, bro. It was just me. I had no car. I was going to the production and lugging a sack of laundry that weighed more than me from wherever they were through the train, across transfers, smelling like dirty laundry on the subway. Yeah. People were looking at me like, what are you doing? My mom was like, John, what are you doing? Everyone was just thinking I was crazy. Yeah. But in my mind's eye, I saw something different. Yeah. And now I understand that believing is seeing. Seeing is believing is a skeptical attitude, because then you're just limited by your five senses. Yeah. But we have mental faculties. You can close your eyes, you can imagine anything you want. Yeah. And physical reality catches up to your mental. And I felt that. I didn't know it so well then, but I had the intuition. And when you have a gut feeling, listen to your gut feeling, because your gut hasn't yet learned how to doubt itself. Your brain, we have reason now, so you doubt yourself, but your gut knows. You have an intuition. And so it felt right, and I left school and I left my job, and I was just doing this. And then the guy said, look, you did a great job with this account. There's a new guy in town, a new account in town. If you get this, you're gonna be okay for a long time. I'll make the intro. Boom, Boardwalk Empire, snagged it. Law and Order, snagged it. Person of Interest, White Collar, The Nick, Orange is the New Black, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Ninja Turtles, Will Smith's personal stuff, Mike Tyson, Spike Lee when he did a play, Unforgettables, Americans, Hostages. I ended up dominating 90% of the film and the TV industry by myself. At this time, I had already had a car. I was zipping back and forth. I had a fake assistant named Lisa that handled my billing, but it was really just me. I paid AT&T $200 under the table so that they can get me a 212 cell phone number. So these people thought they were calling a store. So whenever they would call, I was driving, absolutely, I'll send someone right over, and then I would haul ass, get there, and they'd be like, John, didn't I just see you at the other production? Like, it was all me. And they knew it was a small operation, because they just kept seeing, after a while, they just kept seeing me and hearing my voice, and I was doing everything, and they were like, all right. And they were really supportive. Some of them were cutthroat. I've been fired off of accounts. I remember I was doing, what's that show with Kevin Bacon? The Following. I did The Following, and I screwed up a blouse. It was burned. It was like winter time, and I was tagging all the clothes, and I threw the garment behind me when I was tagging it, and it fell on one of those heating units. The heat, like the little, the space heaters, because it was cold as hell, and whatever, and the space heater burned a hole in the blouse. I was like, fuck. And then turns out it was the blouse of the main actress for that one scene. Oh. And she dogged me out, and she fired me, and she threw me, and it was, I went through a lot, but I started learning. I learned how to deal with enterprise level accounts. I learned how to deal with big people and conduct myself in a professional way. And,
How old are you?
At this time, I was 19.
Do you know what I was doing at 19? I wasn't doing that.
So I was doing this at 19, and so I did that for a year. And then eventually I was sitting on a bit of cash, some liquidity, and then I put up a storefront because I needed to hire. I needed to set down an anchor. Like, my mom's apartment in the living room was no longer doing it for me. So once there, then I was able to hire people. I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. I was like, oh, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I should probably hire people, right? So I trained people to handle the calls, and then I was tired of doing the driving. So I bought 2 or 3 vans, and then I hired drivers, and then I said, okay, well, when I was a doorman, what else did people ask me for? Oh, okay, housekeeping. Cool, let me roll that service out. Whoop. Dog walking. Whoop, rolled that out. So we had these 3 services going. Okay, branding is a thing. Hired a creative director. And then my last good move that I did while running the company was brought in a CTO. So that's when the app came in. The app came in after the business was built. Yeah. We were already making 20, 30, 40 grand a month, right? We were making money. We had the foundation. We had a business. I could have done it with or without the app. Yeah. But the app was the thing that just helped us grow much faster. Exactly. So after doing that, put in the app, and then and it wasn't like a quick plug and play either. There were a lot of crash and burns. Yeah. We launched it crashed, launched it again. My developer screwed up. We had different people's credit card information going to different people's accounts, and it was a nightmare, and we took it back and whatever. And finally we got it right, and then that's when we started growing pretty quickly, and then eventually it was acquired.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And okay, well that's a lot. So I want you all to take 1 second, digest that. Just like take some mental notes and be like, okay, that's a lot. That's a lot of hard work. But it's a very clear roadmap on really what it takes. So you sold the company, you exited.
Yes.
And now you're basically sitting on, on some cash, right? But you're still an entrepreneur. So that
absolutely.
Right?
Never.
Actually, I was talking to one of my friends recently, and she goes, after I exited my first company, my question was, okay, I can't just sit here. What's my next gig? I couldn't just sit down. Like, I just made money.
Yeah.
Right? I should go somewhere. I should go travel. I just couldn't do it. She's like, I just couldn't do it. And I was like, what am I good at? I have to figure it out. Boom. What's my passion? And she started another company. So you now, was it right away you started Cofound Harlem, or?
It's funny because my boys and I, my two partners and I, we were, grabbing beers here in Harlem, and we were co-working all the time. Our idea of a good time was getting up on the whiteboard, drawing out problems, and then trying to crack them, and then just like, and starting all over again, like real entrepreneur kind of stuff.
It's like nerdy.
That's nerdy. And we thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if we can bring this dynamic to Harlem as a whole? So we said, all right, let's have a meeting. So we set a meeting at a cool speakeasy bar here in Harlem, 67 Orange. Shout out to my man Carl. And what up, Carl? So we showed up, and the very first day that we had the meeting for Cofound, I get a text message. All right, look at my phone real quick. And my face, and my boys are like, yo, are you okay? And this gets me emotional. Like I started tearing up. They're like, John, are you all right? And I head to the bathroom, and all of the hard work that I had gone through, like the lugging this, what I had found out was that the buyer, the guy who bought the company, the very first day that we had the meeting for Cofound, that's when he told me he was gonna buy. So it was
buy the company.
That's when he told me, like the text said, all right, I'll meet you at asking price. And I was in the bathroom and I was crying, bro. I was crying.
Wow.
Like I was just thinking about all the hard times, all the things that I went through, all the, John, yeah, that kid, my coworkers hating on me. Just everything that I had gone through was just flat, like just flying before my eyes. And I came back outside, and my boy's like, yo, what's going on? I was like, yo, we just sold it. So that gives some context around the time frame. Like it was, and I thought that I would take some time off, like your friend, right? But I'm an intense guy, right? And I knew I was gonna have a lot more time now. Like really selling a company just buys you time. You have a lot more time and now I have had a different level of confidence because I know that I've already done this. I know I can do that again. So now I'm looking at a different challenge. I'm like, oh shit. And the idea of Cofound Harlem started out as we were gonna do a meetup. All right, let's have a happy hour every once in a while. But I knew that wasn't gonna sit right with me because I need to do something bigger. Yeah. And so we eventually landed at the premise that we're at now. For Cofound, yeah.
And from what I understand, you basically want to build 100 companies in 5 years in Harlem. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the point is, you're not taking any equity from basically the companies that are coming into your accelerator. You're giving them space, you're giving them Wi-Fi, you're giving them coffee, you're giving them mentorship.
Yep.
You're bringing some of the biggest companies in the world to mentor them.
Correct.
And the goal is to basically revitalize Harlem.
Absolutely, man. Yep, the mission is to build and plant 100 companies in Harlem in 5 years.
Right.
And we've already invested in 4. We have some of the brightest minds working with these guys, and it's funny how it all comes back because a lot of the mentors that we have for the program, I used to doorman for.
Wow.
I used to be their doorman.
Wow.
They used to look at me across the desk and be like, hey, what's up, John? But they knew there was this spark in me. And I stayed in touch over the years, and now I've created something with the help of my partners where they're able, like now there's a space for them to be able to give back, and they've loved it. And to name some of the founders that were in this building, by the way, like this building was magical. We have the founders of Rap Genius, the founders of Voxy, VP at Bergdorf, bankers, the guy who made Buckyballs, just like a lot of different, pretty heavyweight entrepreneurs came out of that building. And yeah, so that's what we're doing, man. And we're taking zero equity. The way that you pay us is that you stay here in Harlem for a period of 4 years, right? Like, so you want to mess with Cofound, we're only serious about working with companies that want to commit to this neighborhood because we just fell in love with it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because there's so much potential here, and it's potential that not only people don't know about, but the people themselves in Harlem don't know about, right? So you bringing it out of them and showing them what is possible is absolutely amazing. That's what I really love about this facility.
Oh, thanks, man.
So I appreciate what you're doing here.
Thank you.
And I guess to wrap up, what's the future for John Henry, right? Like, I know you're going to do this, and I know you're going to do even bigger things, and you're going to be speaking all over the world. I know that.
Thanks, man.
And yeah, and we'll be friends for a very long time.
Yeah, for sure.
So I hope so, at least. And what's the future for you?
The future for me, I don't know. I haven't been thinking so far in advance lately.
Yeah.
I've been really coming into tune with Zen, and I read something that really resonated with me, and it said, like, dream big but think small. And what they mean is, like, focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
And so right now I'm just laser beam focused on finding the best companies, which really just means finding the best founders, the best people.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that. I hope to make a significant impact here in Harlem. And we're challenging the accelerator model as a whole. I don't think that you can build a robust, sustainable company in 3 months. And maybe I'm wrong because YCOM is doing their thing, but we think that we're onto something with the way that we're approaching it. And I'm really looking forward to making an impact, man, and spearheading the whole uptown tech scene. And so far we've been doing a good job. So
good job. You run a couple meetups, right?
Yep.
You run war stories out of Cofound.
Yep.
And you run also the uptown tech meetup.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm doing that.
So be on the lookout for that. Come join John and usually myself, because a lot of time I come here as well. And come to those meetups, meet John. One of the most approachable guys I know, one of the most humble guys. And when you come, you'll feel the energy if you don't already feel it on camera. So I appreciate you sitting down.
Awesome.
Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, just a quick note. Just guys, if you have any questions at all whatsoever, hit me up on Twitter at John Henry Style. I'm sure they're gonna link up my handle there. And just tweet at me, stop by the office, grab a coffee. I'm super happy to answer any questions anyone has anytime. So with that said, that's it, man.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Thank you very much for being here.
Oh man.
You are the man. And I look forward to the future now.
Cheers, brother.
But thanks, guys. So we're signing off, and you'll catch us on another episode, another video. And we'll be with more people like this, because this is what we enjoy. We enjoy real, we enjoy the grind, and we enjoy making a difference. So, great team, guys. Peace.